Well, hello everyone. It's Jeffrey Darty back with the Jeffrey Darty Show. It's the Friday edition, December 19th, the day after my father's birthday. So that's rather epic for me. The day your father's born is very significant, obviously, to the fact that you were born. So December 19th, my dad was born December 18th. Happy birthday. A little belated, Dad, but thank you for everything you've done and everything you continue to do. And we are here again. I'm the Christian whistleblower, and we're continuing to toot toot, blow that horn. Sorry about that, a little bit of cat hair on the recording equipment. It's one of those things, man, doesn't matter how clean you are. If you got a cat, you're going to have some cat hair somewhere. That's for sure. And you know, yesterday I was thinking about, the old saying that says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I've realized that you can lead a man to truth, but you can't make him think. You can lead a lady to truth, but you can't make her think. And that's all right, because we're not called to make people think and change their minds. We're called to give them the information that they can use to change their minds. And as I ponder this, I realize that almost nobody gets this. It's very high level, it's very advanced, and very, very few people get this. I mean, few people get the whole governmental control matrix. Few people get the whole Federal Reserve thing. Few people get the fact that we are living, with apologies to Alex Jones, in a police state, and that we are being controlled, manipulated, and manhandled by a state that, if it's not all powerful now, is only moments from being so. And a lot of people don't get that. So how can I expect them to get the deep nuances that the foundation of this governmental political control matrix is actually nothing other than the Pauline Christianity, fear-based, guilt-powered, or guilt-based, fear-powered control matrix? Mark Twain said it's much easier to convince someone of a lie than it is to convince them they've been lied to. And I wonder if there's not a reason for that. And I wonder if the reason is not tucked away in the first chapter of Genesis and the second chapter of Genesis, and also in the epic writings, the creation epics of just about every other culture up through the establishment of our own. And I think about it, and I wonder if mankind, ladies, don't feel like I'm excluding you. I wonder if mankind is genetically predisposed or genetically predispositioned to servitude. I wonder if mankind is genetically predispositioned towards being a drone. I wonder if humanity is not genetically predisposed towards being a worker bee. I wonder if the sheep complex and the sheeple complex is not genetic. Is there a sheeple gene, folks? That's the question I'm asking. Is there a sheeple gene? And if so, what is it that causes the sheeple gene to be overcome in some, and I mean, we're talking about millions, but in relation to the 7 billion people on the earth, 2, 3, 4, 5 million, even 10 million is a drop in the bucket. But Genesis says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And if you've been listening to me and you want to go back and look at some of these videos, you'll see good evidence for the things that I'm saying. Solid, rock solid, I would say, biblical evidence. But in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We know from our past studies, and all you have to do is get on the internet and look up a Hebrew to English Interlinear and read that verse in its original language, and you will see that in the beginning the gods created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And I'm trotting a little bit into my new book, Aliens in the New Testament, the final message of the last apostle, not available yet, but in the beginning the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And we get into John 1:1 and we see that in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Obviously, when we look at that in the original language, in the beginning was the Word was an Elohim, and the Word was with the gods in the beginning, the gods being those in Genesis 1:26 that said, let us make man in our image. So John, later on in John chapter 1, shows that the Word is, without a doubt, Jesus. So Jesus was an Elohim. Jesus was one of the gods that created us in Genesis 1:26. And it said in Genesis 1:27 that the gods created mankind in their own image. In the image of God created they him, male and female created they them. And it makes such perfect sense because the word Elohim, literally translated, means gods and goddesses, male and female. So if there's male gods and female goddesses, they created man in their own image, male and female created they them. They go out of their way in Genesis 1:27 to say, hey, look, dummies, the gods made man male and female because they made man in their own image. There are male gods, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. There are female gods, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. There are male and female gods and goddesses. Jesus was one of them, and they created us in their own image, male and female. Makes perfect sense. And I've been studying of late the writings of Zecharia Sitchin. I've never studied them until now, and I'm not talking about the end part of Zecharia Sitchin with the Nibiru planet and the 12th planet and the return thereof and all of the speculation around that. I have not weighed in on whether that's true or not, but I'm talking about the front end of the Zecharia Sitchin materials that deal with origins, epic creation literature, and the way that every single culture of humanity has thought about the gods. All of the cultures have always thought about the gods, and they always had ideas of gods coming to and from earth to be rulers. And when you study the literature, and when you read my new book, and when you read Sitchin's books, you'll see the evidence that the writers of the Bible were aware of the other epic literature and were influenced by it and included many of its concepts is overwhelming. That's why you have Genesis 1:1 talking about the Elohim, the gods. Well, how come they changed it? Well, because they are trying to, with the rise of monotheism, it necessitated linguistic chicanery in order to pound a polytheistic shaped peg into a monotheistic hole. So basically they just had to cut and paste and lie and cheat and steal in order to come up with the Bible that they've come up with, because it clearly states that in the beginning the gods created man in their own image because they were male and female, just as you see us. But it's very striking in Sitchin's writings that I'm going to run out of time, but that's the original creation of man in my belief and thought, and I think it synthesizes well. And that creation was of a being that was a mini Elohim in training, if you will. In Sitchin terms, it would be a demigod. So it's my assertion that we were created in the image of the Elohim with the potential over time and development to become Elohim. And the Lord did not like that at all. So when he showed up for the first time, in Genesis chapter 2, verse number 7, he also formed a being. He formed it out of the dust of the earth. Genesis 2:7, and the Lord God, not the Elohim, but Yahweh, different word, different person, different people. The Elohim created us, spiritual Elohim in training. The Lord God formed a body from the dust of the ground. I contend that it was a counterfeit. And he then enticed some of the Elohim in training to come into these bodies because they were impatient, didn't want to wait for their full development, and wanted to be able to manifest bodies like the Elohim could do whenever they chose to. And he conned them into these bodies. I've talked about this at length, and I think we've proven it very, very beyond doubt. So you've got the Elohim creating a spiritual being. You've got the Lord creating a fleshy being, and the fleshy beings, the spiritual beings being conned into the fleshly shell where we're now trapped as men as trees walking, as we showed Jesus telling us that. Which leads me to believe, and the first thing that the Lord did with those guys, those people that he created, with those people, those mud men, those mud women, the first thing he did was put man to work in a garden to till it. Till, folks, means work. Genesis 2:15, and the Lord God took man, put him in the garden to dress and keep it. In the beginning of the Zecharia Sitchin study, the Elohim, which he asserts, and with, if you believe his teaching, the Anunnaki are synonymous with the Elohim. The Anunnaki also created a worker bee type human, and they also put him to work. So you've got the Lord God, Yahweh, creating a mud man, putting him to work, farming, tilling, working the soil in the garden. You have the Anunnaki making a man, putting him to work, a mud man, an Adapa they called it, and putting him to work. And in both places, you have, I believe, the Elohim creating a spiritual being. So even though we're supposed to be spiritual beings, have we allowed ourselves to be trapped in the mud man mold of Yahweh? And does that mud man mold contain the genetic predisposition towards servitude? And is that why so many people just can't seem to get this? Because they're genetically predisposed not to get it. Well, Jeff, how do some of us get it then? Well, because it takes a genetic reformulation. It takes a genetic recalibration. It actually takes a spiritual and physical recalibration in order for us to get out of the mind of the mud man and back into the mind of the Elohim. So, and Sitchin teaches that the goddess that was known colloquially as Mammy or Mommy, she imprinted upon the mud man the divine image. The Elohim created man with the divine image, and yet Yahweh, the Lord, came up with the mud man that, from all apparent textual evidence, did not have the divine image. So our goal, our work, coming back full circle to leading a man to truth but not being able to make him think, all we can do is lead man, women, boys, girls, children of all ages to the place where they can see, and those who have ears to hear, those who have eyes to see, will at that moment undergo that spiritual recalibration. They will be born again, as Jesus said. They will undergo that genetic recalibration, And they will be able to move from the mud man to the man made in the image of the Elohim. Folks, that's the only way it makes sense for so many people to be sheeple. It's time, all we can do, folks, is lead them to the water, lead them to the truth, and let them ask for and receive the genetic recalibration and the removal of the sheeple gene. That's something for you to ponder this weekend. If you want to contact me, Gotham, like in Batman, LTD at gmail.com. Jeff at thechristianwhistleblower.com. Great little new website that Cliff Desmond has put up that we're going to flesh out here very soon. You can also email me at ncabala at gmail.com. Contact me at Jeffrey Daugherty Show on Facebook or Jeff Daugherty on Facebook and NC Kabbalah on Twitter. Don't hesitate. Don't be shy. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to talk with you. And until next week, I remain Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. And as always, I wish you peace and light.